special guest here tonight. And my welcome goes to Dritan Abazović, Deputy Prime Minister of Montenegro. Welcome. Mr. Abazović is of a young generation. And we in Austria, looking at our Prime Minister, know that sometimes young people have some problems in being accepted in politics. I think this is not different in the Balkans. And if someone comes like Mr. Abazović from a minority even in the Balkan country, it may be even more difficult. And if he is someone who thinks that ethnopolitics is not the right way forward, and if he thinks that you have to fight mainly against organized crime, then it's even more difficult. So I mention this because Montenegro is a good example of where we stand in the European integration of the Western Balkan countries, how much change is happening and how much change is needed. Mr. Abazović is a political scientist. He was educated at the universities of Sarajevo and also of Podgorica. He worked for NGOs. That's a good career start, I would say, looking at the situation in the Balkan countries. And since 2012, he's member of parliament in Podgorica. And since last year, he is deputy prime minister of the new government of Montenegro. And this was not just a new government, it's a new era for Montenegro. It's a change of system, I would say. And these sort of changes are always very difficult. If I am allowed to say so before I give the floor to Dritan Abazović, he's also a symbol of hope for his country, but also for the integration path of the Western Balkan countries. The change is possible. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but in one of the interviews you said, Lukashenko of the Balkans, to the now president and former prime minister of Montenegro. These are clear words, and sometimes I have the feeling we need in European politics clear words and also let's call it the courage to say them. This is why I'm much looking forward to hear about European values on the road to the Balkans, changes, challenges, and visions. And I guess it will be about the end of autocracy and the beginning of democracy, as difficult as this is. So please welcome Dritan Abazović.
Hello everyone, good evening. In the beginning, let me just, before I say thank you to director and for this very good words about me and about Montenegro, I just want to say that for me it's a great pleasure to be here in this place. This is my second time that I coming to the Diplomatic Academy. First time I was in the audience in the one meeting, and now it's the great possibility for me, and it's the big honor for me to be here and to discuss about politics in the Balkan and our road to the Europe. So, Ambassador, thank you very much for invitation. Somehow this is the good also for the new government, but I think that tonight we can discuss and have a dialogue in one friendly atmosphere, and after I finish my let's say presentation or some remarks, I am more than ready to hear your comments, critics, questions, or everything what is connected with politics in Western Balkan or with the Montenegro. So, first of all, about the changes. In the Montenegro, in last year, in August 13, we changed the government for the first time in history in the election. Not for the last 30 years. That is the difference in some countries. First time in history of our country we have the changes in the election. Never before in the election we didn't have the changes. Only changes what we have is some big crashes, starting of world wars, crashing of communism on the street. We never in the election have possibility to change to make the simple changes of government. Without changes, there is no democracy. I am not coming here to say that this government is better than previous government. I think that it is, but that is not the point. The point is to understand that democracy also in Western Balkans should be functional, same like in another European countries and every democratic country in the world. So it's not normal for someone to lead 30 years. It's not normal for some party to lead 30 years. To lead without result, to lead without freedom, to lead without professional institution, to lead without free institution, to lead with the methods which are not connected with what we want to see like European values in our country. And that first step, it was just to have the simple changes. We decide, because our coalition is very different. I represent a party which is fully pro-European. It's fully pro-Euro-Atlantic. We see that we are part of the western part of the world. We respect everybody, every another countries, every another concept. But we think that we deserve to be part of the Western civilization. That's it. Why we didn't have the normal government, political government? We decide to have expert government. We decide to have only prime minister and deputy prime minister who was in the election list, and all another ministers come like people which never before have any kind of connection with the politics. Why? To don't integrate some parties and some representatives of some parties which don't follow the European agenda fully, or they have some problems to accept some kind of values which in modern world are very visible and very normal. That was the reason. But it's not enough to change the government. It's not enough to have that simple changes in the election. We should change our behavior. That is the problem. When we talk about young people in the politics, I am not talking about young people, because when you say about young people, you think young by the age and you try to promote the parties which have, let's say, younger members of that. That is not the concept. Problem is, not problem, but what is the issue? Issue is to have the new people, especially in the Balkans. Why? It doesn't matter age. He or she can be old, but the new people. People which don't have contamination from the 90s. We need the elites which are not contaminated from the 90s. In 90s, when we crashed the communism, we didn't pass the transition in fast way, starting the war, starting the nationalism, ethnopolitics becoming the main politics everywhere in the Balkans, and now we need the people who are not contaminated with that kind of understanding of politics, and that is the only way how we can be successful European story. Without that, we can stay in integration process for the decades. Or we can be part of EU because of some political decision, but we cannot change our behavior. That's the problem. So we need the new people, people who can bring something new, something more positive, different kind of behavior, to crash this autocratic system, to start to think in another way, to start to do something which is different from before, to respect all institutions, to try to give the possibility to the people and not to look who is from member of which party and who is the supporter of which party. To give more possibility to the people who go abroad and make the good success, maybe in Vienna or in some other centers of the world, to give the possibility to come back and to give the contribution to our own country. That is the way how we can change things. In Montenegro, the key things, the key challenges is rule of law. I think that rule of law is key changes everywhere. I think that behind of every nationalism, it's some kind of criminals. I have evidence for something like that. In our country, that is like that. I think that in another Western Balkan country, it's also like that. People who promote nationalism, behind they have some kind of financial support or some kind of groups which are directly connected with the using of public goods, and they don't want to see the changes, and in a way they cannot promote something new and better, and keeping focus in wrong way, in wrong things. Focus of the Western Balkanian countries, of the most of them, don't misunderstand me, someone who is from another country, is in the wrong things. We speaking about past. That is too much history and lack of vision and future politics which can really change the all area and all region. What we should need, we should do, what I think that is important. It's not important to talk about changing of borders. We have so much problem with the talking of changing of borders. We need to make our borders invisible. That's it. Borders are in our head. Europe made that long time ago. We need to have the same model. So you are not less Austrian citizen or German if you don't have the very strong border with the police, with everything between Austria or Germany. So we need to see that mobility of the people is the possible. Without rule of law, this is impossible. This is impossible. What is frustrated from my side and my experience, like Deputy Prime Minister for 200 days, is that is lot of foreigners which don't understand this. Lot of things, lot of some of yours colleagues saying, why you want to do that in so fast way? This is the process. There is, someone can say this is, it's not like that. It's not like that. We should not lose the momentum. People want to see the changes. If people don't see the changes, they're losing the hope. The only hope for every single citizen in Western Balkan is EU. They see that like a hope. They have lot of criticism maybe, and for some of the countries or EU or European Commission. Maybe they are not satisfied with the reaction, but they still see the hope. And it's very important to don't lose that hope, because that hope is the last things what that people there have. And we need all together to try to promote the different kind of values and to explain that that is good for themselves. Changing in Montenegro, making better law, fighting against corruption, organized crime, especially high-level corruption, drug trafficking, smuggling of cigarettes, what's happening in Montenegro for the short period. It's not good for the Brussels. It's good for Podgorica. It's also good for the Brussels, but that is not the key things. It's good for Podgorica. It's good for our citizens. People should understand that their money go in the pockets of the few criminals or few politicians or few influent people, and not distribution of justice. It's not in the right way. People feel injustice. With every research, I think that is same in Montenegro and in other countries. Someone can say different statistic. More than 70% of young people think to go abort. And when you ask why you want to go abort, first thing, it's like always economical issue, so they think that they can have better salary and better condition somewhere else. Second thing is corruption. And corruption is directly connected with the justice. They see injustice. You have in coast of Montenegro, I coming from the coast of Montenegro, where the living standard is much higher than the north of the country. You still have the people who want to live. They have 15 apartments from the family, living maybe better than everybody in Vienna or many citizens of Vienna, and they want to live. And when they speak honestly, they want to live because they see injustice system, not because they don't have the money. Not because they don't have the good cars or apartments or something. They feel injustice. we need to make the distribution of justice in some better way. When we coming to the vision, which is most important thing, we should finally stop to talk about nationalism, stop to talk about enemies, stop to see enemy everybody who have the different opinion, stop to see that everything what we doing wrong, it's because our neighbor want something bad for us. And this is really frustrated in this area. If we put the focus in right things, if we try to do something more in promoting of good politics, better mobility, infrastructure, investigation, I think that the condition of life in Western Balkan countries can not maybe be same like in EU, but can be very, very much better than is now. It's not easy to say that we can change everything for the short time, but we should fight. We should fight. This is the globalized world, and this help us a little bit. Help us. I am more than sure that also in other countries, not only in Montenegro, people want to see the changes. We have the new government after 30 years, and it doesn't matter. I always say to my colleagues, it doesn't matter if this government will be for the next 1 month or next 1 year. That is not important. Important is that people should see the changes. If we are not good enough to make the service for the people, we should be changed in next election. This is the way how we can help our country. But if we always, when come to the topics like fighting against high-level corruption, if we put that like a top of the agenda, and someone come, like what's happened now in Montenegro, someone come and put the topic of the church in the top of the agenda, and the most of the politicians, most of the media accept that like something which is realistic, and everybody say it's much important what is the relation between the church than action of police, which was in last Friday we do with catching of 1,400 kilograms of cocaine, which is the biggest action and biggest catches of cocaine in history of Balkan. You come and say, I say to myself, this is something is not normal. This is not rational. It's not the way how we can deliver the result. We cannot explain. If we cannot explain to our people, how we can explain to the Austrian people or to someone else that this happened in our country. So we should be more liberal. In the vision of how it's a road of Europeization of Balkan should be that everybody accept to be more tolerant and more liberal. It's not the weak thing to say that I agree and I respect your rights. That is not a weak thing. For me, that is the victory. If we accept and we present and we give the possibility to someone who have the different opinion, different feeling, to say, okay, I have fully respect for you, this will be the victory of that people. And I really believe, I am optimistic, not only for Montenegro, I am optimistic also for another countries. Situation in our country is less complicated because we are small countries and we didn't have, which is very good in the past, we didn't have the physically ethnical conflict in our country. This is something which is very good, and we are very happy because of that, and it's our, let's say, comparative advantage in comparison with another countries. System can change very fast, but we need to feel the support. We need to feel the support from EU, we need to feel support for EU members, we need to feel the support from European Commission. If someone say, no, you have a lot of influence of Chinese in Montenegro, that is true, but we want to see also investors from the Western Europe. And if you come to European Commission and explain that we are ready to get the credit, not to take a gift, but to take a credit to fix the problem with the Chinese, and they still coming and say we don't doing this, we don't doing that. That is the way how we can lose the situation in the Balkan, and people stopping to think that there is not too much feeling, too much understanding of what's going on in the Western Balkan. Western Balkan countries have, from my point of view, only one solution. They don't have the choice. They have only one solution: to be part of EU. Everything else, it's very dangerous and potentially can make the very big problems, not only for some country, if some country decide to don't do that, but also for the region. Only way how we can move forward is to find the people who want to bring something new. There is not coming back. It's not connected with the age. It's not to connect with the names of parties or something, but people who are not coming with the understanding of politics like 20 years ago. This is the new era. We are in 2021, in COVID era, in era of big solidarity, unpredictable things, and this is the finally point when we should choose, or we want to take the step and go in step with the contemporary productive countries and countries which have the high level of development, or we want to stay just like a black hole in the middle of Europe, to be like a black hole which gives the possibility for everybody who wants to make the problems to make different kind of influence. That is the choice. I am more than sure, with every research, we have the huge percentage of people who support EU. But I talked with the director before, it is some paradoxical situation that same people will say, yes, I want EU, they sometimes, or many times, they don't want to respect the rules. They don't want to respect the norms. They say, yes, I am for EU, but we should, this is not something which is realistic for us in this moment. We should not spend the time and waste of time anymore. I think that we need to catch the momentum. You can score the goal in the moment when you have the possibility to score the goal. That possibility is not 90 minutes during the game. So if it's ball in the right place, we should shot and score. And we shot in the past and missed many times. I think that finally comes the time when we need to score. And I'm asking you to support Montenegro, not Montenegrin government, not Montenegrin politicians, not Montenegrin parties, but to support the values, to support the principles, to say, okay, these are our common principles, and everybody who wants to work for these principles is our partner. To don't feel the people to feel that they are alone, and to give the possibility to make the good things. If we continue to support destructive politics and destructive politicians, we cannot have the better result. This is very simple. Every time in the life, we should speak in the simple way. If you go to one restaurant and you are not satisfied with the cuisine, and you are owner of that restaurant, and you ask 10 times the guy who prepared the food to change something, and they don't make something better, finally you need to say, I need the new cuisine. If international community still think that the people which make the problem, which make problem for the 30 years, are the people which can deliver some result, I think that from my point of view, it's not something which is rational, and we will just waste the time. Nothing else. Many times we say stabilocracy first, after that democracy. We have that kind of examples in the Balkan. Stabilocracy without democracy is disaster. Stabilocracy in one moment, yes, but we need to have democracy. We need to have positive peace. In theory of peace, you have positive and negative peace. Negative peace is when you have the peace, physical peace, but not institutions which are sustainable, and not society when you can feel very safe and very, very productive and things that were. Positive peace is something different. When you have enough strong institution to just dealing with every issues, with every challenge of the society, and society in that way go in the let's say go in the right way of development. We finally need to have positive peace. That's it. We need to have positive peace. We have situation now, and I'm coming to the end. I was talking too much. So in September 5, we have one situation in our royal capital of Cetinje. Then we have now new head of the church, and the head of Serbian Orthodox Church coming to make what religion ritual there for the promoting him. And now we have the situation that we are not. So I am coordinator of the security agency in Montenegro, and we are not sure what will happen in the Sunday, because another side, which calling pro-Montenegrin side, don't want to leave to make that ritual in the capital of Cetinje. And we coming to the one, let's say, unnormal situation. So in one side we have the result in the perfect touristic season, maybe best ever in July and August in last 30 years for Montenegro. We have the result in fighting against organized crime, corruption, drugs, smuggling of drugs, smuggling of cigarettes. And in the end of the day, people are not feeling safe, and they don't know what will happen in the Sunday when we need to have one ritual in the church, because some another people which think that they have rights to have open church, and I support that right to have open church. I support the right to everybody have church or religion organization which is by the law. We don't know what will happen. And this is coming back to that destructive Balkanian politics, to the people which I think, from my point of view, they are rational. They cannot understand what's happened. So you have the laws of religion freedom. Everybody is free to make open ritual, religious ritual in the church. Another side, you have the freedom for demonstration, for everything, but in peaceful way. And now state should make the arbitration between two sides which want to fight against something which is historical issues. It's the historical issues, and cannot be fixed in the atmosphere of which promote undemocratic values. We need to come back to the dialogue. We need more Europe in our country, more Europe in our politics, more optimism. That is very important thing. More positive things, more optimism, more faith and belief that we can have the success in the future, and I am more than sure that we will catch that success. Finally, we should all understand that the Western Balkan countries, also Montenegro, are the countries without democratic tradition and with the lack of political culture. Tradition is something which we need to build during the years, and I think that we starting to do that. And political culture is something we should promote by the political elite. I really hope, and I really think that our building of the new political culture, it started. It is a lot of problems, but in the end of the day, we will together come to the final point. Our final point is to be successful story. We are only country in the world which is dedicated by constitution like ecological state. I think that our opportunities like a country are huge. Our country is the one of the, everybody can say for open country, but everybody who went to Montenegro for one time know that that is one of the most beautiful countries in the region, most beautiful country in the Europe. And I think that 620,000 people should have much better life standard that they have now. If we make the good steps in economy, if we make the good steps in European integration, if we make the good steps in rule of law, I am more than sure that our living standard will go up, and in that way less people will talk about the church, about the flag, about the ethnicity, and more people will talk about protecting of environment, about climate changing and sustainable tourism. This is the vision what I want to promote. Maybe I have more, let's say, more cosmopolitan vision than another members of majority or members of government, but it doesn't matter. I really think that it's time to do something what people did not expect. People in Balkan don't expect from someone to go out of this daily main street politics which destroyed us for the 30 years. I think that we should leave that politics. That is politics of ethno-nationalism, that is politics of destroying, of hate speech, of don't understanding, of lack of tolerance. I think that we should do everything in another way. We should promote tolerance, dialogue, understanding, democracy, economy, and vision of our countries in the common Europe. This is our vision, and this is also my wish to see my country, Montenegro, like a successful European story. Thank you very much, and I am more than open for every question and comments.
Thank you, Mr. Abazović, for this not only very optimistic, but also very inspiring description. Sometimes I thought, that's Balkans. The way you are convinced that change is possible, that it is possible to modernize, it's possible to overcome 30 years, as you say, of being contaminated, sounded to me very as a positive example of why we need the Balkans in the European Union. This is not an official Austrian position, but the official Austrian position is we want you to follow the rule of law, we want you to accept all the acquis, and we hope that this will soon be realized. I'm not sure about 2025, as I've heard from your side, but this is a question which has to be discussed with all the member countries, as you know. So great. You accepted that we have a discussion here. We already have questions from the live stream that we have, but maybe I'm allowed to start with a question. Yes, I give the floor to you soon. You spoke for a different Montenegro, but at the last elections, your party got 5.5%. How are you going to convince the rest 94.5% of your vision?
That is not ambition to convince that 95%. ambition is just making a little joke. How I want to answer in this question, it's like this. So people told me in that time, me personally, and also to my colleagues, why you are doing that? Everybody knows that nothing will change. Everybody knows that against will win the same party. Why are you using the energy in this way? You can do something else. And we believe that we can do that. And when nobody believes that we can do that, we coming to the true 5%, but the 5% we change the Montenegro. Everybody else staying in open position. Montenegro is for the years divided 55-45. This 5% making a difference. An ambition was to convince that 5%, not to convince 50% or 45% in another side, but to convince 5% and to start to make the changes. In the next election, you will not have this kind of situation. I'm not talking that we will have more or less, that doesn't matter, but you will not have the party which have 40%. And you will need to have again coalition. And when you need to have again coalition, you will need to have again negotiation. And nobody will come with maximalistic approach, because cannot be in the government in that way. And I think that this is the way how Montenegro is changed in the positive right, and it is in positive right track. That is why I'm optimistic. Maybe things in this moment, it's not looking so good, or it's not looking so different from before. But that is the difference. Because there is no anymore one point or one party or one leader which decide everything. Now everybody is important. Important is someone who have 5%, important is another who have 12%, important is another who have 25%. Everybody is important. Important is minister who was never in the politics before. Important is the president who coming from the former government. Everybody is important. So we should just need, what we need is to develop the political culture and finding the good solution for our country.
Yeah. You're talking about democracy. That's democracy.
That's democracy.
Yeah. I start with one question over there. Yes, you. 1, 2, 1. Yeah. Without, you may.
Can I take it up? First of all, thank you, Mr. Abazović. That was a very inspiring speech. I know what very difficult task you have to fulfill, because organized crime is indeed deeply embedded in the society, and in particular in some of the elites that were in power until recently. And I know that it is also quite dangerous for you, and I hope you will succeed. But I still have to come back to the event next Sunday, the 5th. Some very distinguished intellectuals from Serbia sent an appeal to the EU and to the United States, criticizing the fact that the inauguration of the new bishop will take place in Cetinje, despite the opposition of the majority population of Cetinje. That's what they claim. And they see it as a sign that actually in Montenegro, extreme Serbian nationalism is in power. And you cannot just ignore this. If people like Sonja Biserko, many people know who they are, and others, I got this appeal. And I'm a little bit worried. Also, what can your government do, and how will it react? Because you have also to react not only to your own people, to their own country, but to the international community, which is involved. Thank you.
Can we collect, or would you like to respond immediately? Let's take 2 more questions and then, yes.
Also, so I have 2 questions. So one question is, so in the European Union, Austria, on the one hand, this is the most important and vivid promoter of Western Balkan enlargement. But however, some countries, especially France, is quite skeptical of the Western Balkan enlargement, because now France or President Macron want to concentrate on the reform of the European Union. And the question is, how would you persuade President Macron to promote the Western Balkan enlargement, or how to pursue that the enlargement to Western Balkan bring also France or other skeptical countries huge benefits? And the second question is, the Western Balkans or Balkan is now the so-called great game again. So there is one great power concurrence between not only EU, but also USA, Russia, China, Turkey, or Saudi Arabia. And if the Montenegro is Montenegro approach quite strongly to European Union or USA, so-called the West, and then it could be provoke the other countries like China or Russia, and of course Montenegro experienced the anger of Russia when Montenegro entered to the NATO. So how to deal with the rival of the West? This is the second question. Thank you very much.
Okay. Big questions. We take a third one, please.
Thank you very much, Luka Vukadinovic. Firstly, thank you for the presentation, for the great speech, and congratulations on the appointment. I think it's it must be recognized that somebody so young has assumed such an important role, and as previously they mentioned, operates and works in a quite a dangerous context. As somebody who has left the country at the age of 14 and spent most of his life living abroad, not in Podgorica, where I was born and grew up, I really see, I must recognize it. I had the opportunity to also speak to some of the ministers, young ministers who came back from abroad and assumed their role in the country, and I had to congratulate them because I think it's quite a sacrifice what you all are doing currently. I do have a quick question. Many of your voters, supporters, or just people eager to see change after 30 years of basically the same government in Montenegro now are witnessing that there is some positive change. We see some positive aspects, but for example, if we're talking about employments or appointments in a lot of state-owned companies in Montenegro or throughout the government, we see that still meritocracy is not necessarily a thing in the country. Still, a lot of appointments are done based on political affiliation. And perhaps you would perhaps agree that you find yourself a hostage of the 40% or 45%, maybe not a smaller one of the political parties in the government. It's basically perhaps in the view of many blackmailing the rest of the coalition, and as a reward or a response, they're getting these appointments in the government. So what would you say to these supporters and voters who in a way feel let down or perhaps betrayed? Thanks.
Mr. Abazović, would you like?
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, I want to just say hello to the Ambassador Gudrun Steinacker, and maybe if you leave me, I will say this is the former ambassador of Germany in Montenegro, but from my point of view, don't misunderstand me, the best ambassador we ever have in our country, ever. And there is no Montenegrin which fight for the goods of Montenegro like Ms. Steinacker, and I am very thankful. And just to mention, if you go to the Google and say what Ambassador Steinacker do for the Ulcin Salina, which is the European bird airport, it's not something which is only important for our country. That is amazing. So thank you very much from my side. And about the question, yes, we are all a little bit concerned about September 5, but like someone who sitting in the government, our role is to protect the constitution and the laws of Montenegro. So everybody who wants to have the religion ritual, have that right. Also another part which want to make the protest because they think that is not something which should happen in the Cetinje, have own right. If everybody understand own rights, there will not be any kind of problems. If someone want to go out of the constitution and to make the problems, to make the incident, I think that we like a state will make the intervention. I'm asking, I talk many times with the leadership of the church, I talk with new metropolitan. They make one step back, I think maybe in 2 step backs from the first idea to make the big celebration in Cetinje and to have the two big sites on the streets. We come to the agreement to make that in some, let's say, camera environment, in the way to do that inside of church with not too much people. Another side coming to the protest which is not made by the law. Nobody make the official asking for official permission for the protest. Nobody. But that's happened also in August 22. Our decision in that moment was not to cancel that protest because we don't want to have more tension in our country, and maybe people need the time to understand that they should, and this is good, to fight for human rights, but not in some wrong way. I'm trying to give my best, and I think that every single institution will give the best. Ministry of Interior, Police, Prime Minister, we have the Council for National Security, we have also that top level Council for Security, which is led by the President of the State, which coming from former government, and all our statements should be in the way that we just asking for the peace, for the tolerance, for the understanding, and if someone want to go to the street, they can do that, but to respect the rules. The problem of I don't want now to make the confusion, because maybe somebody don't know what's happened in Montenegro. This problem with the church is not problem of the new government. This problem, it's problem from 1819, so it's problem more than 100 years. And it was too ambitious to expect from the new government to fix the problem between Serbian Orthodox Church and Montenegrin Orthodox Church for 200 days. Problem, just for your information, is because someone want to use the church like a tools to take some political credits or to make some political result, or to come back with the fighting on the street, to come back to the power. That's it. This is not question of religion. This is not question of Orthodox faith. The Orthodox faith is faith of love, of solidarity, of understanding each other, especially people which have same religion. Maybe they have different kind of understanding of organization of church, but same religion. And I just want to say that the state don't want to interfere in anything what is right of the people, but will not leave nobody to go in some bigger problem. I think that September 5 is well prepared from the state side. It's well prepared from the state side, and I'm staying optimistic that finally, when we finish all that procedure, we will say that it was much more talking in media, much more electricity in media than something what's happened in the ground. But nevertheless, we are all concerned about that, and I am sad because of that. But this is the truth what you say. Second question from colleagues near to you. It was about the enlargement process. So we are very thankful to the Austria government, which do great job for the Western Balkan countries. It's one of the country which is pretty much interest for the Western Balkan and to help Western Balkan to move forward. We have here in Vienna 2 months ago the big summit, but unsuccessful in some way, summit of the Prime Minister of Western Balkans, trying to bring people together. And Austria, we really think that Austria, it's in our side, let's say, inside of the politics which support enlargement. From another side, you mentioned the situation in France and the French president, and the different kind of voices which we can hear not only from France. There are some another countries which are more skeptic about enlargement. But from my point of view, that is not something which we should be nervous about that. Why? Because that is also realistic. If someone say you don't have result, you don't have result. Only if I want to lie, I can say yes, we have result. If someone say you are not ready to join, this is true. I asking you for help, but I cannot say something which is not happen. So in that way, I think that governments of Western Balkan country should use the messages from the French president or some another official from some another country which have skepticism to work more and to convince them with the result that we are ready to move forward and we are not in same position like before when they say that you are not ready or we should change the methodology for you because this is unsuccessful. This is how I see the situation. In the end of the day, what I want to say, which is my thesis, anytime for the Montenegrin people, it's not important when we will be in EU officially. It's important when we will be ready and compatible institutionally with another countries. Because in the end of the day, that will be political decision. We should finish what is our part of the job. And after that, yes, we want that also officially to have invitation and to join. But if doesn't happen, that is a less worse that if we don't have any kind of result. And in the end of the day, someone decide let's take Montenegro because we need to have the enlargement process. So I think that we should look in that in the motivated way when somebody criticizes us or some country criticizes us because of lack of our result. This should be like a motivation. About your second question is the relation of Montenegro with EU countries, also with China, Russia, which have a lot of influence in the Montenegro, traditionally have a lot of influence. When somebody say, no, China have the influence everywhere in the world. I really don't understand. Sometimes someone say, your country, China have the influence in Africa, everywhere, in European countries. They are superpower. Every superpower make influence. But what we need to understand is that we need to stay very strong in our sovereign decision to follow the EU foreign policy. That's it. When we have the discussion in government about foreign policy, I say for us, it's very easy. We just need to follow the EU foreign policy. Sanction for Russia. Maybe we don't like that, but we are a small country. We are not country which can deal with the global peace. That is not our role. We decide to join EU, we should follow the rules. That's it. Easy for us, and if we going that way, also these another countries will always know what is our position. And in that way, we can be very honest and trust partner. So when we talk when I talk with the Russian ambassador, we go one in Crimea. Now we have one Crimea declaration in Kiev, and our Minister of Foreign Affairs was there, and the Russian ambassador was nervous about that, which is okay, and he comes to talk with me, and I say, look, we follow the EU foreign policy. They are another Minister of Foreign Affairs of another EU countries. It's not up to us now to make the pressure in us, small Montenegro, to decide that we want to change something big. We follow that. If EU convince German Ministry of Foreign Affairs and French Minister of Foreign Affairs and Italian Minister of Foreign Affairs, you will never have possibility to come to meet me for this kind of things. That's it. Very, very easy. We should follow the rules. And this third question,
may I come in on this issue, because it's foreign affairs. Is it really that simple? In the last few days, there was the question whether Afghan refugees should be accepted in the Balkan countries. As you know, some countries have already received them. your country is not really saying. They're not accepting someone because they're saying nobody asked you to accept someone. So what is the position on this?
Yes, it's not so simple, but it's also so complicated. About Afghanistan is something else, because that is a little bit question of security, and it's a question of your possibility, financial and places and everything. We don't have too much. We are just like one part of Vienna. You should understand that Montenegro is not huge. It's not easy to deal with that. I understand your concern, and I will say my position, and I propose that to the government, and I think that will be, in the end of the day, that will accept it. We have the session tomorrow. I think that also Montenegro should accept one number, not huge number, but not one number of refugees from Afghanistan. We have bad experience with the wars. We have too much experience with the refugees. In 1999, we accept from the Kosovo, most of them was from Kosovo, more than 1,000 refugees. That was 20% of our population. 20% of our population. And we give that humanitarian signal in that moment. Now it's a little bit, things are changing, everything, I understand. But my position, and I will be very strong to just try to convince another ministers, especially Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which we talk about this, to accept one number, not huge. Our possibility is not to have the huge number of refugees, but one number of refugees also, because of everything what's happened, to accept it also to Montenegro. That is our position. About third question, which asked my colleagues from Podgorica, you are right. You are right. I cannot say nothing. What is your impression? It's also more or less my impression. I think that reforms go a little bit slowly. There are some reasons why it's like that. It's some reasons. Some reasons are because of fault of new government, that is true, but some reasons are objective reasons. Decision-making process in Montenegro is disaster. Nobody wants to make any kind of decision before you say something. I can understand when you ask someone, why you don't give permission to this, they say, nobody told me to give the permission. But they are okay by the law. Everything is okay. And when you have a lot of people in the administration which don't make decision daily, reforms going a little bit slowly. About the meritocracy, I really think that things are different, not totally different. We are not Sweden. We are not government of Sweden or Norway. We coming like a new government in mentality, dealing with mentality of people of Montenegro, but we give possibility to the ministers, which was not in the politics before, to some companies like airports and to Montenegro new company in Montenegro, giving the possibility to the people who are not involved in the politics, who don't have any kind, giving the possibilities like Council for the Fighting Against High-Level Corruption, people which are very well known from the civil society. I think that we give a little bit space also to people who are not directly connected with some of political party. Is that enough? Probably no, but I think that every next government will be much better, so we moving forward that percentage. And about this, what will be with the supporter, I think that if someone want to see more this kind of ideas in the ordinary life, should support this kind of parties. I think that we make much more influence that we have legitimacy. That to be honest. So if people want to support pro-European party, they really need to have to support that, and after that they can really say, now we want to see more and more things what you mentioned before and what you promised to the people. With 5%, it's very hard to be under two extremely big structure, one nationalistic structure with some destructive ideas from 90s, and one criminal structure which leading the country for the 30 years and now feeling very nervous because everything what's happened, especially in this, what will happen with rule of law, what will happen with rule of law. This is, and I am more than sure that not so small percentage of the people, respectable percentage of the people understand this.
I have a few questions from the live stream. They concern mainly the economy. One is, what about the main economic challenges in tourism and industry? You already mentioned that tourism is important and that it was a very good summer season. And the second question in economy is, in how far benefits Montenegro's economy from EU projects? Thinking of Interrail potentially promoting the tourism sector. And there is a third question, very concerned with the Belt and Roads project, that leaving Montenegro, giving up sovereignty of its territories, should the government not be able to repay the loan? What are the steps being taken to mitigate that and avoid such outcomes?
About economy, so 25% of our GDP it's coming from the tourism. So tourism is the most important sector in economy. We lost last season 2020 because of COVID, and one part of opposition think that we will lose this season and Montenegro will go to the bankruptcy. That doesn't happen, fortunately, and we have very extremely good result into tourism incomes. Just for the July and August, and in this first 8 months will be more than 700 million euros. That is around 75% of 2019, which was the very good season. But if we calculate the lost pre-season because of COVID and this post-season, because now situation is a little bit complicated, we are very satisfied with the result in the tourism. About potential, there is the huge potential. But tourism is not only sector which we can develop in Montenegro. It's not only, it's very important, more important sector, but it's not only. But the opportunities are huge. So we need the sustainable investment, the good investment, the investment in the infrastructure. Infrastructure is disaster. We are not destination when you can come with a car without problems and huge numbers of cars and the very bad traffic. So we need the roads, but we need also the place. I will just mention one thing which explain what kind of country is Montenegro. In this year, starting to work one hotel group which is famous in the world, one and only, and the bed in that hotel, the cheapest bed in that hotel, it's 1,400 euro. That hotel, it's full. Villas, which are with the beach, are 20,000 euros per night. They are full. So, Montenegro is country. If you have the good service and something which is expensive, you will sell it easier than if you have something cheap. And people, I think that they starting in the beginning, that was like one imagination. Nobody will come, nobody will want to pay that, and now they just need to go up with the services and up with the standards, and we need to have more hotels, more big hotels, to have investment in the traffics, into everything what's connected with the traffic, also in the air companies and everything, in airports, and to be destination which is pretty exclusive. Just to mention, we opened the trade of Kazakhstan this year. I mentioned to our ambassador when we come here, I saw the flag of Kazakhstan, embassy of Kazakhstan. So Kazakhstan people have the famous destination Thailand and Malaysia before. They didn't know where is Montenegro. They never heard about Montenegro. And this year, they have this COVID situation, they didn't have the possibility to travel in that destination. And we go to the Kazakhstan, to Astana, and negotiate with the Air Astana, and we have 5 times a week direct flights from Astana to Podgorica. 40,000 tourists we expecting until end of the season from Kazakhstan. People which never been in Montenegro before, and which more of them didn't know where is Montenegro. And everybody are satisfied. So if we open 2, 3 more new trades and have some new values in tourism, I didn't see any kind of problem to deal with that in the future. About this China law, this is very important topic for EU, extremely important. When I was in Brussels in March 16 and make a speech in the European Parliament and speak about the problem with China law, coming back to my country, and everybody was very angry to me, every of my colleagues, also Prime Minister, angry. Why you talk about China? You make the problems with China. Now China is angry. China is angry. But 20 days after that, they coming to me and say that was perfect. Because sensibility for that, it's increasing huge. European Commission, because of pressure of European Parliament, come and say, okay, sorry, we didn't know that this situation is so problematic and we want to help you. Different kind of European banks come to start negotiation with the government and say, okay, we want to help you, we didn't know that this situation, it's like this. Yes, we have the extremely bad contract for the highway. Extremely bad, and I want to mention, just to know, to be careful if someone is from these Balkanian countries, to think to don't do the same. We make, first of all, for the 43 kilometers of the highway, we need to pay 1 billion euro. That's the 27 million euros for the kilometer. It was one of the most expensive highway in the world. Maybe it's not most expensive, but one of the most expensive in the world is definitely. But that is not worst point of the story. The worst point of the story is because we make the law for the highway, which is also, I was in that time in opposition like MPs and was against, because we never have the law for some infrastructure project. Only what is rule of parliament is to give the permission to taking the credits, and not to have the special law for the highway, for the national stadium, for the hospital, for that. That's never happened. With that law, we give a lot of benefits to the Chinese, extremely big benefits to the Chinese. But that is not the worst thing. The worst thing is that we make the guarantee for the credits with our territory. And nobody knows which territory is. And also, we sign, former government signed, that if we have any kind of problem with Chinese, the court in Beijing will be responsible to give the final answer. So nobody who is normal or who is not corrupted cannot sign that kind of agreement. And to be very honest, from my side, to be very honest, because I always I told this also to Ambassador of China, I am not angry to Chinese. Nothing, not 1%. They give the offer. Like you, this is your computer, you can say, if you want to buy this computer, it's 10,000 euro. If you don't want to buy, go somewhere else and find the computer. They give the offer. Our side accepts it. So if we are angry, we can be angry only to our side. And the highway, it will be under monitoring of this national, it is under monitoring of National Council for the Fighting Against High-Level Corruption, because that was everything in untransparent way, and what can we do? But these kind of concerns, that something will happen with Montenegro, if Montenegro will not pay, I don't have that kind of concerns. Our rate for year is 66, 67 million of euros. We have that money in our budget, and I don't think that we will have problem to pay that. If we can go in some new arrangement, because we need 2 more parts of highway with EU or with some financial institution in EU, that will be perfect to close that credit and to continue the project. That will be good. If not, I don't think that it will be any kind of problem to pay that rate next 14 years. But this is really disaster. Just to imagine 43 kilometers, and it's one of 3 parts of highway. That is not all highway is from the north to the south, to the coast. This is only one part. It is true that it's most complicated part, it is true, but it's extremely expensive and with lot of lack of transparency. So be really careful if somebody comes from Western.
The Austrians are very good in building highways, by the way. We built a lot of highways, we have tunnels, we have bridges and everything. Famous worldwide.
Expensive or not?
Good quality. I have a question from a young Montenegrin. How hard was it for the new government to pursue and convince experts to work for your administration? I'm not asking regarding only ministers, but more for those who are working in specific working groups, EU negotiation groups. When are you planning to include young Montenegrin students and professionals from abroad and pay contributions to international organizations so we can actually do internships and acquire knowledge and practical experience that might be useful for Montenegrin diplomatic network? She's someone who she wants to work for you.
So very good. It's hard to convince the people to work for the government, not because they don't want to work for the government, but in government our salaries are very disaster. And it's also hard to motivate the people to work because somebody who have the knowledge can find a better job than work for the government. And also people in the government feel unsafe. They feel a little bit uncomfortable because they don't know what will happen with the government, which is okay. Sometimes it's related with the question from my colleagues from Podgorica. Sometimes, you know, you have the critics. It's the same view, there is no meritocracy, and also some of my friends told me that, and I say, okay, do you want to come tomorrow morning to work for the government? They say no. That's it. But all young people have the possibility to work. If they don't work directly, they can work like volunteers. So Ministry of the Public Administration and Digitalization make that project of the voluntary for the young people. That is not so attractive because they don't have the salary, but it's one not so small number of young people now working in that ministry, voluntary working in this digitalization process and reform of making of e-government. And also this woman, I don't know, can just send the request to the email, because I don't know exactly what kind of preparation she have.
I still have a very different question, the other way around. How is the EU currently perceived in the Western Balkans, and how can it, the EU, improve its image and visibility in the region?
I think that it's not the image of the EU in Western Balkan countries is not bad, but definitely it's not just a political narrative. It's something what we need. There is to have more. EU should be more present in the region with concrete things. So Chinese are present with concrete things, not with a narrative. They are present with concrete things. I think that also EU should go there with concrete things. Now is this new fund for the Western Balkans, which is 7 billion, and also with guarantee of 20 billion. I don't know exactly how it will be used in the future, but this is the good possibility to people really see that something happened and something care about them. And in the end of the day, that is not a gift. This is very important to understand. It's not a gift. It's just arrangement, like a persons have with the bank, also states have with the institution, and this is the investigation in our common future. I want to see more proactive EU in the region.
You know, the EU is investing in the railway infrastructure already because of the Berlin process. This is one of these projects which should be more visible, I guess.
Yes, very good project, and I think that also they should continue in some another areas. Infrastructure is very good. Why? Because infrastructure is good for our mentality. We should crash this, what we're talking about, nationalism and different kind of thinking that our neighbors are our enemy. So when people have easy access, we understand that it's not like politician explaining, but its situation is the different, is much better. Like people during the touristic season, you know, in my hometown, they coming a lot of people from Kosovo, but also this year was expansion of tourists from Serbia. And I'm sitting in the beach of my best friend, and they have the music, which one song is in Albanian, another is in Serbian, after that Spania, Italian, and people enjoying. Everybody enjoying, and I say, look, this is the model. People are in better understanding than politicians. They don't care that you are from Kosovo or you are from Serbia. They coming to enjoy, and they feel very good. But if you contaminate that with the propaganda, with everything, they starting to coming back in the night and say, yes, true, we should make the fight. They are our enemies. So more music and more party.
I do understand this. There is a last question actually here, which comes close to what you said, because someone is asking, everything you're saying is great, but European values have to be educated. It cannot be left to parents, since most of them were raised during communist period. So what is your government doing? It should start working on detailed, deep, and constructive change of educational system.
That is really true, and I think that the education system generally is the very big issue for Montenegro and also for another countries, and that is the, let's say, a long-term goal. You can make the changes of education curriculum today, but that is long-term goal. What current politicians should do, they need to have the behavior which is connected with the European values. They need to be honest, they need to be uncorrupted, to don't be corrupted, to work in the way which is by the law, to be responsible to the people, to have public responsibility, and to promote good things. I think that is very good to show the model. That is what I see that we can do in the fast way, and we are not doing. Just to show the model to the another people, to say, okay, this is they starting to make the pro-European behavior and not behavior like before. So this is my appeal to everybody to try to just using the same like models for the something which is compatible with European values.
If I may, there is one last question, very easy one. Do you see Montenegro soon in the European Union?
Not so soon. not so soon. I see Montenegro like a country which need to show to everyone that have the very, very big will to join EU. For me, that will be enough for the moment. I am not saying about the date. I really want to, this is my first political goal. First political goal of my party was to have the changes for the first time. Second, biggest historical, is to see Montenegro in EU. So my political party should do everything to see Montenegro as soon as possible in EU. But I just, what I want to see, because everybody knows that that will not happen very, very soon, to see the will of institution, of politicians, of ministers, of everybody to join EU. To see, when I say to see the will, to give the results, to work, to promote, to do, to speak with the people, to try to convince, to have the good neighborhood politics, to have very active role in promotion of EU integration, and to have EU integration in top of political agenda of the government.
I think we should stop here, Mr. Abazović. Thank you for this very clear message. you're giving us, and for answering all the not so easy questions. I do understand. I fully understand that the main message is stabilocracy is not enough. It needs democracy. And that's what you're telling also the European Union member countries. This criticism, I think, is something we should also take up and understand and help you in making it possible. You have the Austrian support, but you need 26 more. So I hope, one by one. So I hope you will be successful. We wish you all the best on your way to changes, challenges, and visions. I do remember the beginning of your independence because I was on a cultural mission to make cultural working program between Montenegro and Austria in the year when you got the independence. My minister, Austrian minister at that time was Ms. Blasnik. She was in Brussels when the decision was taken that EU accepts the independence and recognizes Montenegro. And I was sitting at a table near the foreign ministry in Podgorica, and she phoned me Tuesday morning and said, you may take the letter that you have with you with my signature and go to the first foreign minister of Montenegro to present it to him. And he was surprised that an Austrian, we had no embassy there, came there, and we were the first European to recognize the independence of Montenegro. When I left the foreign ministry, the Hungarians and others were looking at me, this strange guy coming from Vienna who was already with your foreign minister. That's how fast we Austrians try to be in helping Montenegro. Thank you very much. And I guess you deserve a real round of applause from all our guests.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I should not forget to invite you all to a glass of wine with the Deputy Foreign Minister, as is not only in the Balkans, a good tradition. Thank you.